Okay, so let's go with my Jawaharlal Nehru secularism and democratic socialism. So we know that he was a great architect who has built the architect in the Indian nation. And after India has got independence, he has served as the first prime minister for about 20 years. And you see, he was there in the very forefront, and he is the father of, he's also known as the father of Indian foreign policy. And you see, he was born on 14th November 1889 at Allahabad, and where his parents were Motilal Nehru and the Swarupa Rani, who were a Kashmir Brahmin. And where, as they were a Kashmir Brahmin, they have migrated to Allahabad in the 18th century, we can see. And you see, he has took admission in the Cambridge University, where he has studied for 3 years. And after that, for 8 years, he has been a member of bar, and he has carried out his profession here in the and where he attended the Bankipur Congress session in 1912 uh, as an delegate, and also after he becoming secretary of Home Rule League as well in the Allahabad in the 1919. Okay, see here. Okay, so the following are the important writings of Jawaharlal Nehru: The Discovery of India, Glimpse of World History, Autobiography, Letters from a Father to His Daughter, Before Freedom, Future on Communalism, and many other things. Okay. So his political thought, you see, for him, the center of democracy is the representative form of government. Representative form of government is what the government which represents the people here. So which is the popular sovereignty. Sovereignty is nothing but the supreme power here. Popularity within the people here. So where he has pointed out these ideas are where no means these are something foreign, something new to the Indian traditions, you can see. And also he has discovered this kind of representative government in the other Shastras and also the other ancient literature, you can see. Okay, so where regarding representative democracy, he has given a lot of methods of election and how there should be a quality of elected people should be to the representative bodies, and also he has commented that the democratic state, okay, that state has to take the risk of choosing the wrong people. Because in the democracy, you see, there is an election, and within the election, people choose whomever they like. So in that choosing also, there is a risk. Okay, there is a problem of choosing the wrong people by the right method, which hopes for the best here. Okay, and where his ideas towards the political democracy are the center of principle of this popular sovereignty, the election, the majority rule, and responsible for the participants. On economic democracy, he says he wants to bring up the equality, and where he wanted to bring up a equal society. And where he has realized this framework within the 19th century democratic party, and where he has saw the essential differences between the capitalism and the democracy are because for him is a kind of a capitalist system where that has constituted a lot of problem here. Okay. So within the social democracy, he talks about that the self-discipline, being disciplined of the community is one of the proper definitions of the democracy you can see here. Okay. And one second. So on social democracy, he talks about how this kind of self discipline should be there in the politics, and there should be a faithful peacefulness, and there should be a procedure of democratic practices. For him, this democracy in the social affairs is nothing but the public affairs, where that is a kind of standard of human being, he says. So on the views on nationalism, he says in his book called Discovery of India, where he says that India is his blood, and by his blood, he also found out he has he also have said that which his approach is a kind of alien critic. Alien critic. Alien means something far away. Okay, so that where there is a full of disliking from the present day world because of the many, because of what was there in the, because of the relics that was there in the past time. Okay, so here you see on the non-alignment after the Second World War, you see the world has divided into two power blocks, which is the democratic bloc and the communist bloc. The democratic bloc is the NATO and the communist bloc is the Warsaw. You can see where both are opposite to the each other. So the success of this main non-committal that we will not align to any of the bloc lies with the Jawaharlal Nehru only. He with the another Alice. Alice means with the French, like with an agreement with the Marshal Tito Abdel Nasser Sukarno and Numa, where they have led for the NAM, which is called as the Non-Alignment Movement Formation in 1961, and where this was a greatest courage, where you see how it was a passive form of being neutral and inactive in the nations here, because these nations, the people from those are the newly independent nations, and where you see those are the two powerful blocks where the new independent nations does not wanted to be in favor of them. So on secularism, he talks about when he has experienced, he has nurtured this secular kind of platform, and he has discovered that people, they are from very different religions, they have shared very different things here, and where in the independence of 1857 you see the reflections within the Hindus and the Muslims, they have found together in the revolt of 1857, and where his entire political life, when he entered this political life, he has applied his knowledge to the communal forces. Communal is nothing but the community based of forces with the support of the political authority, and he has opposed the British rule that was being done on the birth of communalism. And you see, uh, even Nehru was a even Nehru was a rationalist, knowing that human values were superior to the religion here. Okay, and also Nehru has discovered the secularism as a kind of sole responsible to this communal forces here. And where he says that democracy and the secularism are kind of twin siblings in a society here. Okay. And where his belief in the secularism has made a stress on the scientific analysis of this order here. So he talks about the democratic socialism. Within the democratic socialism, he was attracted towards the Fabian socialism. Fabian socialism is a kind of it supports the social democracy and the socialist and the democratic socialist principles. That is what is called as the Fabian socialism. You can see where he says that he confesses that he is a socialist and also a republican, and he nowhere believes the kings and the princesses where they are producing the modern kings of industry here. Okay, so where you see his socialism is not as a utopian. Utopian is something a imaginary state, you can see, that people thought to be. For him, this kind of socialism was kind of a economic means. Okay, the things through which you go for the liberation. For the liberation is nothing but the uh, freedom of masses from the what? From the industrial and the agricultural feudal lords here and the oligarchs. Oligarchs are the sole rulers here, you can see. So for him, he wanted to end the private property, but in a very restrictive sense here. So he has given a social ownership of the means of production and also with the national production, and also he wanted to have the equality distribution of wealth to all here. And also with the, he has interested in introducing the cooperative farming. You know, cooperative is with the grouped together. Okay, so he has given You can see how he has strongly given for the socialist principles patterns of ideology, and where you see his main ideas are for the concept of welfare state here. Okay. And you see, he, his views on democracy, socialism, and liberalism are not a kind of mere ideas, but it has been developed by his own, and it was responsible for the India's socialist political and the economic situation. You can see. So next we have the Ambedkar. Okay. So Ambedkar's annihilation of caste and the new social order we will deal today. So we know he was born on 14th April 1981 in an army cantonment, and he was a very rare combination of all the knowledges, and he was where it was so much had a commitment to the social change, and he was a multidimensional philosopher, intellectual, and a social revolutionary, the economist, and the jurist. You can see. So he was famous as known as for his father of the Indian Constitution. Okay, so he was the last of the 14 child born for the Ramji Maloji Sakpal and the Bhimabai of mother, and who has belonged to the untouchable, the Mahar caste, you can see. And you see, in 1912, he was graduated in political science and economics from Bombay University. And in 1913, he has secured MA with subjects of economic sociology, history, philosophy, anthropology, and politics from Columbia University in New York. And after that, he has left in 1960 for the London, where he has admitted to the Grace Inn to study the law here. So you see, he was elected as a chairperson of drafting committee of Indian Constitution by the Constitution. Okay, so these are all his writings written by him. So on the socialist thought, you see, on the socialist thought, he talks about the origin of caste system. He says that caste system has been origined because of you see. Western scholars have investigated in the origin and the features of the caste system, where you see the research of Ambedkar has remained a kind of a very unique scientific and on based upon the rational basis. Okay, based upon the rational basis for him, his in India, it was a mixture of clans. Okay, India was a mixture of clans here, and yeah, there you see caste was a dominant because of the increase in the within the caste. They used to have internal marriages, and also there was endogamy. Endogamy is what marrying within the same limits of the local community. That was the one of the characteristic of the caste, and there was an imposition of what's say imposition of the endogamy on the exogamy. Exogamy is nothing but marrying outside the clan here. So where it is not mentioned about caste as a unit, but as a system, he talks about it is a collection of 3,000 of endogamous, the similar kind of units here. So the theory of untouchability, he says that in his book called The Untouchables Who Were There. So he has made a very good study on the untouchability using his ideas on the customs and the practices and within the different types of tribes and races among the world with his knowledge that he had on the Smritis, Dharmashastras, and other ancient books you can see here. Okay, and where he talks about he has actually given a different view of the theory of origin of untouchability in the Indian society. There were the two reasons. One is the conversion of conversion into the Buddhism, and second is the eating beef here. So where the first one is of atmosphere of scorn, you can see that was being spread up by the Brahmins, and they were against the Buddhists here. And the second is the habit of the eating the beef here that was kept by a broken man. You can see. Okay. So the annihilation of the caste, in the annihilation of the caste, this was actually a speech where he has given to the, which he has tried to given that speech titled as Annihilation of Caste at the Jatpat Todak Mandal in Lahore in 1936 that has invited Ambedkar, where he has written this speech where after he has sent that draft to them, they thought that where they have said him to alter the speech, where he said there will be no more comma, no full stop would be changed here. So where you see uh, um, on in 1927 publicly in Mahat place that is called Mahat Satyagraha, he has openly burnt the Manusmriti on the occasion of Mahat Satyagraha that has happened in 1927 to establish for the rights of untouchables to bring the water from the tank here. That was a chowdar tank in the Mahat town in Maharashtra. So he had made few suggestions. You can see there should be a dignity. Okay, there should be a dignity behind the caste that has to be given and that has to be sanctioned, and that behind the dignity that has to be destroyed, and the system that was scaling in the caste that should be abolished. Intercaste marriages should be encouraged, and there should be one and only one standard book of Hindu religion that should be accepted to all of the Hindus, he has said. And where he also says that priesthood should be abolished. Okay, and there must be a state examination for the priesthood. For the priesthood, you see, excuse me, you are drawing on the PDF. Kindly do not write it on the PDF, please. You are marking lines on my PDF. Please do not touch the screen. Please do not write anything on the PDF. IS, that is Samu. Please do not write anything. Yeah. Okay. So he wanted to have a penal to have a sanad which is called a degree to give as a certificate for the priest here, and the priest should be a servant of the state, and also like other civil servant he should be paid by the state, and he has to be subjected to disciplinary actions that should be taken up by the state in the matter of the morals. Okay, and also with the belief and the forms of worship, you can see. So there are number of priests that were limited by the law according to the requirements of the state and the civil services, you can see here. Okay, so where the effective where that limiting them by the law was the effective way to kill the spread of Brahmanism here. So he talks about the concept of democracy as um as you see, he has lot of he has three main important objectives. One is to be the state should preserve the freedom, happiness, and independence of the individuals. Nextly, it has to fulfill the judicial obligations, means the problems here. Thirdly, the state should see that those individuals will live a good life without any fear, tension, and the uncertainties. So, for the concept of democracies, he has given the six important elements. So, those elements are like an there should be absence of inequalities in the society. There should be a prevalence of responsible opposition, presence of rule of law, and constitutional morality that has to be observed by the rulers, and absence of dominance of majority of the minorities, and there should be a presence of popular. Popular means the people acceptance and the popular support, the people support. So on the social democracy, as he has gave his last speech in the Constituent Assembly in 1949 on 25th November, he has won the uh, he has won the India. It should not remain as a content to the political democracy, but also it has to strive for the social democracy. Okay. So where on the so he says that how long shall we have to continue to deny the equality? Okay, equality in the social and the economic life. If it is continuing for a long time, it will only putting the political democracy in the crisis here. So he said that it should be removed, and it can only be possible, and it is only possible with the equality kind of structure, and where he said that social democracy is a basis for the political democracy here. For the parliamentary democracy, he talks about, he gives in the where he has explained the parliamentary form of government was based upon the three um, three requisites, the three requirements. What are those three requirements? There should be a absence of hereditary rule. Hereditary rule means after one comes, after one comes. That rule has to be abolished, and there should be a presence of popularly elected people. Popularly means by the people, they should be elected here. And the legislation and administration should carried on by the people's representatives. Popular election should be at the regular intervals. Months, periodly, people should elect their representatives. And also, he has given the two important requires of two main pillars. They are related to the presence of responsible of opposition that is meant for providing the strength, independent and free political life. You can see, and there should be a free, fair and impartial elections that is to be exercised by the adult franchise by the citizens. Adult franchise is nothing but the giving the right to vote here. Okay. So on the economic thought, he has spoken about the um, caste and economic development. Within the caste and economic development, where he has stressed for the investigation in the agriculture, as agriculture was the prime industry of the India, you can see, where that has held government to achieve its food security as a goal here. So the he has given a book, The Problem of Rupee, Its Origin. In that book, its origin and its solution, as a result of which he has presented this book to the commission here. As a result of this, as a result of his book, the RBI has established in 1934 as an act, and that was established on 15th April 1935 here. Okay. So they have given two significant contributions to the field of finance. Firstly, the works and finances evaluating the East India Company during this period. Second one was the book analyzing the central state relations during the contributions. Here you can see, where he wanted to provide the productivity without closing every avenue to the private enterprises, and he wanted to provide that on the equitable distribution of wealth here. Nextly, he talks about the state socialism. On the state socialism, he has given the three kinds of basic tenets. Firstly, he talks about the state ownership of the agricultural land, and that key industries should meet the demands of the poor people of the society. Secondly, state socialism has to maintain the productive resources Okay, nextly, distribution of the common produce, whatever that is been common that among the different people, there should be no differentiation of any caste or the creed, but without any caste and creed differentiation that has to be given here. So he has given an active, well-defined role for the state in the economic affairs of the community, but also he did not favor the position of arbitrary. Arbitrary means something that is not able to based upon some reasons, arbitrary restrictions on the economic processes. So on the concept of new social order, he was a follower of new social order with his social problems like caste, his views on the social problems like caste. So, with his views on untouchability, caste, democracy, and women, he has constitutes. He has written his main foundations for his socio-political ideas. You can see, and with his sensibly dealing kind of an idealism, he has made him to work for the new social order that is based upon the social justice. You can see, and where there should be a varied means various and differed and three points of contracts with the modes of association you can see, and the other words there should be a social endomosis means the moment here you can say. And he has also observed that caste was not because of they are human, but it is religion, and religious shastras have taught them to have Hindu to observe as a caste here. And also he has visualized a society where all the barriers, okay, but whatever the obstacles are there, so between the man and the man should be demolished, should be removed here, where man should be seen by his birth, not by his birth here, and there should be a equality between the man and the man here. For him, this democracy is not a form of government, but it is should be a way of life here. Okay, way of life through which the social justice can be established. So he has, and also depressed classes should be should deserve the protection and until the goals of welfare state are achieved here. So you see, Ambedkar was a very great liberator of the oppressed people in the India, and where he has sought to secure the social justice to those depressed classes based upon the that social that depressed classes were divided on the social stratification through this democratic struggle, and he wanted to safeguard those people against the struggle against the upper caste here. So where for securing the social justice, Ambedkar vision, it holds a promise, more promise than any other ideology you can see. So this is what Ambedkar is. Next we have um, Ram Manohar Lohia. So Ram Manohar Lohia, you see, he was a great leader and also a thinker of socialist movement in India, and he was the great leaders among the modern India. You can see, and where he has given for a society, he has given equal opportunity for the self-realization, for knowing your goals here. Okay. So, Ram Manohar Lohia, he was born on March 23rd, 1910, and his father was a merchant in Faizabad in Uttar Pradesh. And you see, he has he has passed his matriculation exam in the first class in 1925, and later he has joined Banaras University. And after that, After that, he was the founder, one of the founders of the Congress Socialist Party (CSP), and also the editor of the mouthpiece called the Congress Socialist here. And he was selected by Jawaharlal Nehru in 1936. 1936 as a secretary to the foreign department. Here you can see. So the following are the writings, popular writings of the following are the popular writings of Ram Manohar Lohia. You can see. So on social equality, he talks. He was a great supporter of the concept of equal opportunity or the social equality, where he has advocated for the preferring opportunity in the place of equal opportunity for the upliftment of what or for the upliftment of the backward classes and the women, the Adivasis, the Harijans, and the Shudras here. So these all people they have constituted the 90% of the population you see, and where even 9 out of 10% of them, 9 out of 10 are the so-called Dvijas. Dvijas are nothing but the Vaishyas, Kshatriyas, and the Brahmins, who are called as the twice born. They are the higher caste people. They are also backward in all other respects here. So where, according to him, 99% of population it needs preferential treatment, means a privilege. Okay, it should be given a privilege here. So within he has also given a theory of mobilization, means mobilization is nothing but organizing. Okay, organizing the backward classes, and also after them getting their power captured by those backward class people, he has said that it was caste has to be mainly powerful. Okay, yeah, the caste to be one of the mainly powerful exploiting organizations in the India. So where equality was only the solution to the problem here. So on the caste and class, in his what's say in his wheel of history, he has shown about the human history as a tussle between crystallized caste. Crystallized means the clear caste and loosely characterized classes here, where he writes that caste are being a representative of conservative. Conservative is nothing but holding the traditional values, forces of the stagnation, which does not grow, inertia, which is unchanged, and the prescriptive rights, where all these classes stand as a dynamic, okay, as a very strong force of social mobilization, the social organization. Okay, on the caste system, he says that how we know that there is a caste varnashrama system, and where Brahma is a varna, Brahmins are also varnas, Kshatriyas are also varnas, Vaishyas, Shudras, and where of his where he says according to Lohia, there were a republic society. Okay, there was a republic society which has settled in India, and where slowly it has emerged as a federal system. You can see he has believed that this caste system is restricted to the Shudra Varna only. Okay, where the leaders of the society they always want to preserve, to keep that Varna system awake here. So where he wanted that backward caste should be understand what are the shortfalls that has what are the concerns, what are the obligations that have been given here. So abolition of the caste system. So on the abolition of caste system, um, he strongly felt that backward caste should get the opportunity to lead, because 60% of they should at least get 60% of the post in the public life here, and the political program to attack the political program that should be there to attack the caste system that is mixed up with social activities such as collective feasting. So Where it says, first place, the country is cursed with caste system. Okay, where the possible to end the feudal and capitalist inequalities are through with the class struggle alone here. Okay, so what are the classes here? Obviously, the depressed classes you can see. So one has to strive for destroying that class and passed through non-violent measures and peaceful kind of propaganda. Here he says on the class, he talks about. It has been characterized with three distinguishing ruling class: high caste, class, English education, and the wealth here. And where he has presented a society uh, where he has given a society where that is governed by just 1% of its members, while the remaining 99% are the powerless people here. So there was a differentiation between the 10% of Dvija men, who are the rich people and the English educated, and the 90% were the uneducated poor here. So he has termed those poor and educated as the fake Dvijas here. Okay, where he was actually favor in broadening, keeping wide the basis of the mass movement that is been organizing on the economic and the class conscious basis, you can see. So he was a supporter of dialectical materialism, which he has put a great stress on the consciousness. Conscious is nothing but being aware of certain things here. So on education, he has found many of the loopholes in the education system, and where he has said that the education system is neither helpful nor learning to one's livelihood here, where that was dominated by the English language here, you can see. So on the political thought, he talks about the freedom of individuality and the concept of four pillar state. So on the concept of four pillar, where actually Lohia has given individuals the right of resistance. Resistance means the restricting against the authority. And also he was he said he has also permitted that whenever there is a danger in the individual's freedom, the state interference created a kind of problem in the path of development of the individual personality on the other hand, and on the other hand, it was the social progress. So the concept of four pillar state, where he says four pillar state is both a legislature executive arrangement, where you see the state has to organize, and the state has to be very much organized, and it should have a sovereign, the supreme power, where it should see that there is a active participation with the village communities that can be achieved in the state affairs. So he is giving a separate construction on the basis of four bodies. Those four bodies are what: the village, the district province, and the center here. So the features of four pillar states here, he says that there should be a small portion of state revenue ranging between one third and one fourth should be given to the two bodies of village and the district. And secondly, he says that there should be a police should be subordinate below to the level. Subordinates are nothing but the hierarchy. So there should be police shall be made as a hierarchy to the village, city, district level bodies, any of the agencies. Nextly, there should be a office of collectors that has to be abolished, and all his functions should be distributed among the various bodies. So this all these three bodies has to look after the functions of the office of the collector is what he meant to say. And there should be a economic decentralization towards the political and the administrative decentralization that has to be introduced by utilizing the maximum use of small machines here, you can see. And where the aims on the democracy and socialism, he gives few aims of socialism, where he talks about the how there should be a maximum attaining of equality. Justice should be developed by the sense of equality. There should be a decent standard of living and the harmony between the material and the moral needs of man. There should be an industrial and agricultural techniques, and there should be a judicious organization. Okay, and the decentralization of the power and economic power that has to be easily made to the common man here, and restriction on the bureaucracy should be encouraged. Okay, so on the federal structure, He has criticized the federal structure of Indian administrative system. Yeah, he did not reject the principles of federalism, but he wanted to make wide the jurisdiction of the federalism. Here you can see religion and politics. Here these are very interlinked and they have the same origin. He says, and where the jurisdiction of the religion and the politics are separate, but that is a wrong combination of both, and that which corrupts the both here. Okay. So on the economic thought, he has given few items which is there, which he says a true socialism can be established only with the reconstruction of the economy, where it has to follow the reclamation, the whatever the wasteland it is there, that has to be utilized. Small unit technology should be there. Equal distribution of land, school of distance should be maintained. Food army should be there. Abolition of land revenue should be there. Stress on small scale and medium scale irrigation should be there, and restrictions of expenditure and the consumption should be taken up. Here he has given. And Saptakranti, where that Saptakranti was based upon the socialist principles, where equality and justice become the way of life for Lohia. He said, where he has given few seven kind of revolutions. One is for firstly, he talks about equality should be there between man and woman, and there should be against the political, economic, and spiritual inequality. Should be against based upon the skin color, and there should be against the equality of backward and high groups, caste-based traditions. You can see against with the uh, there should be no there should be against with the foreign enslavement. Enslavement is nothing but making slaves, and should be against for the freedom and democratic against the foreign enslavement only, and that should be there for the freedom and the democratic rule all over the world. Here there should be strive for economic equality and should be a planned production and against the economic existence. You can see there should be unjust, there should be against the unjust encroachments on the private life and the democratic methods. You see that should be against weapons and for satyagraha. You can see. So, on the concept of equality, also he has spoken, and on the decentralized economy, he was a very good supporter of decentralization with the small scale units which are spread all over the country on the cooperative basis here. For him, the farmer who is there in India has a very great role to play, unlike the others, and what that role is very much greater here. So, where others may have same equal roles to play, but he also talks about the subsidiary alliances, means the agreements between the farmers and the workers and the artisans and the city poor should be replaced with the concept of equal relationship in the revolution. So he was a very good, Loria was a very good political thinker, and where you see he was also a believer in the ideology of purity of his thoughts, and he also did not hesitate to break away the socialist colleagues along with him were the JP and the others here you can see. Okay, he was not only a politician but a philosopher who was having his own thinking, and he was a social reformer to put an end to the caste system and the social discrimination. And he has done a lot to improve the condition of the women, Adivasi, and the backward communities. So this is the Ram Manohar Lohia. I am done with my class here. So, thank you.